After Shawn died, of course, we were in shock. And it was very much a time of disbelief. I just kept thinking it can't be right, it can't be true that Shawn has died.
I remember the first day that we woke up, it was April Fool's, April 1st. And I remember walking through into his bedroom and it was empty. And I just felt the house just, even though we had another 5.5-month-old still sleeping in the other room, it felt like there was an emptiness in the house.
You're still trying to gather in the whole experience, what happened. And I guess that happens a lot. You're always wondering what happened and why it happened and how it happened and could it have been done differently.
I think that's the difficult part, is that everything has changed and you can't think straight. You can't focus on things.
And I remember thinking, April 1st, April Fool's, like, what kind of a joke is someone playing on us? Like, this isn't funny. And as my husband best described it, it's like we walked around the house like zombies.
You feel embarrassed that this happened to you. You feel angry. Again, why did this happen to you, and who can you blame? You know, can you blame yourself? Can you blame your wife? Can you blame conditions that led up to it?
So certainly disbelief and shock and the pain, so heavy in the chest. You know, if you'd think you would be having a heart attack because it was so heavy and it was there all the time.
You still feel empty and alone. Man, you feel everything. Sometimes it's just too much, and you want to shut it down a little bit. You want to step back and run away from the feelings.
Is this normal? The way I'm feeling, is it normal? How long does it take before you get through that stage of crying every day and just an emotional roller coaster?
Everything's been impacted by Shawn's death. Everything changed. My life was being a mom of 2 boys. I still believe I am a mom of 2 boys. However, physically, that's not how it appears.
Probably every parent experiences that, whether your child was killed in a car accident. They're probably thinking, if I didn't put them in the car that day, if I didn't send them to daycare, they wouldn't have been there. And so I guess talking to other moms, and which, you know, maybe similar illnesses or situations have taken place, I guess it made me kind of accept it a little better, that it really wasn't my fault, even though I was trying to take the blame because I couldn't blame anybody else.
As time goes on, you start to really focus on what's important. You know, do I care if I fold my socks? No, I don't care about that anymore. You know, the important things are stopping and playing with Jamie, or just trying to live in the moment more.
The loss of Shawn has impacted our life in the way that, I guess my husband best describes it, the wind has been taken from our sails. Our dreams, our future, what we've had planned as a family, everything you work towards, you know, your dreams of becoming a parent and what you want for your children, and when you lose that child is it's devastating, and I guess it's hard to find joy anymore in life.
If it wasn't for going through an experience like this with my wife, it would be incredibly hard to deal with. You know, the more alone you are, I suppose, or somebody you can't really share it with.
And no one at all could understand what we were feeling other than people that have experienced the loss of a child themselves.
The end result is that you've had this experience. You never want to have an experience like this again, but you've been there and you can deal with something like that. It's like a test.
I felt I was a good person, but somehow I was feeling like I'm getting strikes against me because of something that I may have said in the past experience in my life, and always again right back to it's something I must have done wrong that I'm getting punished for, or is this a lesson in life? Like, what kind of a lesson is it to have your child taken from you at such a young age? And these were all these things that I was feeling throughout the grieving process, wondering, like I said, is this a normal process? Is this a normal thought? Or am I just simply losing it?
I think that you learn to cope with a loss. And I feel as if I will always have a hole in my soul. There will always be a piece of me that is missing. And I'm sure if I live to be 70, I'm sure I will still feel that way. I started doing volunteer work because that was the only thing that really helped to lift my heart. I kind of made it my mission to help other kids, and that did help for sure.
One thing that I found helpful throughout all the stages of grief was talking about it, and keeping contact with like employers, for instance, letting them know what's going on, or family, letting them know, and friends. That was always a kind of a relief.
I used to be a scrapbooker, and I still am. And I really found that I wanted to finish Shawn's scrapbooks so that Jamie would know his brother. I started to panic, though, because I thought, I'm eventually going to run out of pictures of Shawn, and what am I going to do then? And then I decided to make a legacy book. And in this book are the special things that we do to keep Shawn's memory alive. And I think it will be neat for Jamie when he's older too, because he will always know that Shawn is included in our lives. And tangibly, this is how, looking through the book, we can see all the special things that we've done for Shawn. I find great therapy in that. Certainly I cry lots and I go through lots of pain with it, but it's a way of processing that pain too. In the first year, society gives you a lot of grace. They don't expect a lot of you. They expect you're going to be crying, blubbering mess. As year 2 comes, people expect that you're going to be getting better.
My type of work is very physical labor, so if I felt stressed or angry or a bit put out, I could just work a little harder, and that would relieve some of the stress I was under. So in that situation, it was great. Other social situations, at first were kind of awkward because, again, people don't want to talk about it. They want to leave it alone. But in reality, I think I liked talking about it. I still do like talking about it, and it's a good thing.
Someone's going to ask you the question, how many kids do you have? And that, that's as simple as going to the playground, because that's got to be the most common question at the playground. And it is such a tough question to answer when you've had a child die. And people's responses are interesting too. Sometimes I would think, okay, I'm just going to say I just have one, and then I don't have to shock these people. However, you would immediately start to feel guilty because you don't have one child, you have two.
Sometimes you feel like you're in the spotlight, and you could be, for instance, in a shopping center or something like that, and if somebody just looks at you, and in your mind you think that, oh, there goes that person whose child has died.
When I became a mom, I just thought, you know what, I'm the luckiest woman alive because I'm a mom. I've got 2 healthy children. When someone would say, how are you today, or great, like that, because I felt great. And now when someone asks me, I almost feel guilty to say, I can't say I'm great because I'm not. And I can't say, I guess when I do say, I just say I'm okay. And then I feel, well, I don't want them pitying me and sympathizing, giving me sympathy all the time. That's not what I'm looking for. But I just felt I really can't say, oh, I'm fantastic, I'm wonderful, the way I used to feel.
I started to notice a change in my grief. The first kind of sign, I guess, was suddenly the pain would not always be in my chest. It would lift, it would be gone. And at first I was scared. I thought, what does that mean? Does that mean that I'm not grieving for Shawn anymore, or that I don't miss him, or I don't love him anymore? Probably around that same time is the crying was lessening as well. And I found that a real time of fear, because I didn't know what was going on.
And as time went on, then I realized that that he really was gone, and I guess I was learning to live with it a little bit more, as hard as it was. And I don't know that I'll ever accept the fact that he's really gone, but I guess I'm learning to live with it because I have no choice.
I thought I was doing pretty good, and all of a sudden I just had this day where I cried the whole day. And all I wanted to do was sleep and eat junk food. And I thought, oh my goodness, like, what's going on here? I quickly went to my counselor and said, am I going crazy, or what's happening here? And I found that that was part of it. You need to go through the hard times in order for the days ahead to be a little lighter.
I guess I don't feel I have to go down to the cemetery every day and cry, or just because I'm thinking of him, because I feel in the house we've got his pictures. I didn't put them away. I've got probably more than I did out. I have them all around, and I have those memories, and like I said, he's always with us.
The things that trigger the grief experience can sometimes be very unexpected. It can be even just going back to a place where you've not been since your child died. And it can send you right back, almost to day one. You can have the heaviness in your chest, the pain, the tears, the inability to really talk. Then there's the common ones, of course, like Christmas and birthdays, New Year's. Starting school, that's huge. I would die to spend all the money I had on school supplies for Shawn. We don't get that opportunity.
I think the questions of what if will always be there, in some way, always in the back of the mind. With Eric's sisters, you're always wondering, what if? If he was here, how would he interact with his sisters? How he would interact with us when he was a teenager, or if he was to get married, all that stuff. You always think about it. Maybe just for a second, but you always do.
I've learned since that time does heal to some extent, and that your grief will change. That doesn't mean you can't go back to those places again. And there's no set path. It's not really where you're going to start here and you're going to end here. There's no such thing as that, I don't believe.
keep Eric's memories alive in several ways. For instance, his birthday. We'll always have some type of celebration of his birthday, whether or not we go out to his gravesite and release balloons or have gatherings there. Same thing for special occasions like Christmas and Easter.
We chose not to have Shawn buried, and so we don't really have a place to go. We don't have a cemetery that Shawn is buried at. And in a way, our park, we call it Shawn's Park, has become that way. We go there on special times, we release balloons, or we kind of put things on Shawn's tree, like chimes or birdseed, things like that. And we take care of the park, and Jamie and I usually go about once a week, and that's very helpful for me.
We talk of him all the time in the house. His little brother knows that he had a big brother, and he'll blow him a kiss, and the picture's a kiss.
You know he's there when something happens for you or your family, or you just know he's there. There's no two ways about it. You just feel it. You know it.
We often send stuff to the hospital. We just this past weekend took one of the Thomas the Tank Train sets on one of the tables up for the kids there, and sort of what we've done is we kept Shawn's bank account open, and as we can, we put money into that. And so when it comes to times like Shawn's death anniversary and we want to do something bigger, we just pull money out of the account, and it feels like it's coming right from Shawn. And we know that we believe it's helping other kids. And for Shawn, we believe he watches over us, and I think what greater joy for him to see than that.
Every time when I go to church or do something faith-wise, that I always keep Eric in mind. So that's my time with Eric. So it's a spiritual thing, I guess, that I lacked and now I've found again. So I enjoy that the most.
Do what feels best for you and for your most immediate family, so your spouse and your children. Many people will try to put expectations on you, whether it's to attend the Christmas dinner or buy a birthday present for Johnny or whatever it is. Those things can be very hurtful, and they can be very hard, such as a family gathering that you've always attended and this is the way it always was. You need to follow your heart with that. If you don't feel that you're up for it or you don't want to do it, my advice would be not to do it.
Reach out to other parents as best, as much as they can, because for me personally, I think that was something that really gave me strength to cope with our loss and our grief.
And certainly to meet with someone that was maybe a year or two further along, to see that, yeah, they were surviving. Yes, they still had pain, but they were able to survive. And there was some hope there.
I think you have learned from the most toughest situation, and that if you get through that, you can cope with any situation. I mean, any other situation pales in comparison to that. But